Hey guys, I got in another rifle scope to take a look at. This one is very budget friendly, so I'm hoping that it's somewhat decent. It's coming from DiscoveryOpt. I've honestly never heard of them before. They reached out to me, they offered me a few different scopes, and I chose this one really because of the price. I thought you guys might be interested in it. Um, it's a 1 to 6 by 24. It's a first focal plane. It's a low power variable optic. But I figured we'd do a quick unboxing on it. We'll go over all the features and specifications. We'll get it mounted to something, get out to the range, test it out, and then get some thoughts on it. All right, let's start and see what all comes in this. So it looks like we got some quality control stuff here. That's somewhat interesting. It looks like they go through every step of it and they include all of the findings here. I've never seen that. Dated, so that's interesting. Looks like some type of manual. Looks like we have a lens cleaning cloth, and that actually is branded. And again, I always appreciate that when a company does that. There's some of the information. If you guys want to pause and read that, I'll go over some of it. Looks like we have the scope itself. Looks like we have a sunshade. We have a screen. And looks like the scope rings. I was hoping this had a cantilever mount, but it doesn't look like it. And one last thing I didn't see kind of down in here is a throw lever. I'll have to try to pull that thing out. And that's the throw lever. And I guess whenever we get into the scope, I'll see if there is a battery in it already or not, let you guys know. So this model is the ED-AR. And again, it's a 1 to 6 by 24 first focal plane. It appears to be kind of like a matte finish on it. And I'm just kind of looking over the anodization to see if there's any type of glaring imperfections. First impressions right now, it actually feels pretty solid. It does have lens cap covers on it too. They're not like the flip up style. So you do have to like pull these off. And I'm not sure if that's, I don't think that's their logo. Yeah, their logo has that D on it. But these are fairly, I mean, really thick rubber. Like I'm squeezing that hard and it doesn't collapse or anything. So those are of pretty decent quality. Grab you guys some unofficial measurements of it. So the length, we're looking at just over 10.5 inches. The width at its widest spot, probably 2 3/4. It does have a 30mm tube. Let's grab a weight on it. So by itself, 22.5 ounces. With the rings, 26.8 ounces. I'll quickly show you guys the mounts here. They seem to be of just okay quality. I noticed that like some of the anodization is missing off of some of this stuff right here. And they're definitely a different color than what the scope is. So I don't like that at all. You can see these are a really shiny black versus that matte black there. All right, just gonna kind of quickly go over everything here. So we have our ocular lens up here, and then this is our focus adjustment. And there's definitely like this checkering that allows you to grip onto that really easily. That actually does turn really smooth. Up here's our magnification or our power adjustment. And then we had that little throw lever. We can get that installed. So that's going to go right there. And then that just screws in. And then let's see what this is like. So you can see it's labeled here. So we got 1, 2, all around to 6. Let's see what that feels like. A little bit stiff, not bad though. Usually these take a few times of moving it around to kind of get worked in. Not horrible though, it is kind of stiff. We have our windage and elevation adjustments. Again, that same type of checkering, it just gives you a really good place to grip onto it. Let's see what these are like. So it is labeled. Let's see if it, that's very positive. Wow. Audible and palpable. I'm sure that the elevation is the same way, but I still want to check it out. Very nice on those. This does have an illuminated reticle. And again, it's over here. So it looks like there's a little mark right there. So it looks like we have an off and then a level 1, off, level 2, and so on all the way up to 6 levels of brightness. Let's check that battery door. See if there's a battery in it. And there is not. I assume that it takes a 2032, but I'll have to look into that. It doesn't say anywhere here. So I looked through the instructions. I don't see anything about a battery size there. And then I looked through their inspection type stuff, and I don't see anything in either card about a battery, but we'll get a 2032 and see if that fits. So a 2032 is the correct battery for it. So this DiscoveryOPT scope is nitrogen purged, it's O-ring sealed. They say it's waterproof, but I don't know what the rating is. I couldn't find it anywhere. I know it's shock proof and also fog proof. Try to show you guys what that reticle looks like. It's basically 3/4 of the crosshairs, and there's a small little like semicircle or like an upside down U that's right in the very middle. And I'll try to zoom in or let you guys see this once we get outside. And then I'll also put the illumination on so you can see it. So hopefully that shows that a little better. I think I'm zoomed in there to about the 4 or 5 power. And hopefully that gives you an idea of what the illuminated reticle looks like. It's basically just that like semicircle in the very center. So the actual crosshairs are not illuminated, just the dot in the middle. And the eye relief on this is around 4 inches. All right, I'm about to get this mounted. I'm working with an empty, no magazine, safe rifle. And just so YouTube knows, adding a scope to a rifle does not modify this rifle in any way. It doesn't make it do anything other than what it was originally manufactured to do. I didn't show it earlier, but these mounts do have like a piece of fabric inside here to kind of help protect the finish of the scope. If you do ever get one of these like budget scopes from Amazon and it comes with like budget rings, put them side by side on your rail and then basically kind of look through and see how everything lines up. Because if you're not basically lined up here, you're never going to get your scope zeroed in. And these ones are actually pretty decent. So I was hoping just to be able to leave my flip up backup sights on here, but this magnification dial is actually resting on it and not resting here. So I'm going to have to pull that off. All right, I'm going to get this level and then get the screws tightened down in it. I've showed in previous videos that I just use a level brick wall to basically level out my scopes. You can take something as simple as a piece of paper, and as long as you make level lines and then you hang this level, you can use something as simple as this. All right, got the scope level and mounted. I'm going to check out the sunshade real quick, see what it's like, make sure that it threads in okay. All right, no problems with it. Let's look at the screen here next. This provides some shade as well, but it also helps prevent you from being seen. So there's like a little bit of a glare that's on the end of that right there. So if you were trying to do some like true like sniper type stuff, you could put this on the end. We'll say those are kind of tough to get started. The sunshade was tough as well. Go the opposite way for a minute and see. There we go. Once it starts, it does thread on just fine though. But yeah, instead of having the glare from your lens pointing at someone, that's what would be shown instead. All right, guys, out the range this morning with that DiscoveryOPT 1:6x24 scope. I've got it somewhat sighted in at home with that sight mark bore sight there. I'm probably going to put, I don't know, 50 to 100 rounds through it. I'll get it completely zeroed here and then make sure it holds zero and then kind of check out the glass and the reticle and everything else with it. Some quick advice for you. If you put a scope on your rifle that has a throw lever, always have it basically in the up position or remove it if you're transporting in a bag. If you leave this like this here and then you close your bag, it will actually like rip through the fabric on your bag. So yeah, just always just turn that like that when you're transporting. All right, set up downrange there. First line is at 50 yards. And then kind of back there in this corner, I have some clay pigeons on that hill there. So those are at 100 yards. Hopefully that gives you guys an idea of kind of what I'm seeing here. And that is the 4 power and the 6 power. All right, guys, I have had a chance to use this DiscoveryOPT scope and just kind of want to share some thoughts with you. I'm going to start with a few of the negatives that I encountered while I was using it. First one is the magnification ring. It is still very, very stiff. And I have turned this thing hundreds of times and it's still just, it's so hard to move. So if you're shooting and like while you're shooting, you need to adjust your magnification, you do have to like basically pull your face away from the scope and then make your adjustment. So another thing I had happen is while I'm out there shooting, I'm maybe starting like at 1 power and then I'm adjusting to 2 and then 3 and 4 and so on. And there were a couple of times when I would grab onto this throw lever and it would be loose, and it wasn't loose down here where it screws in. It's loose in the middle because this is actually a 2-piece design. And so this would kind of start to unthread from this a little bit. It wasn't a huge deal. It never like came off, but I would have to like cinch it back down and then be able to turn it easily. But yeah, it just kind of moves just a little bit. So I do kind of wish that this was just a 1-piece design. But if you were to buy this, I would definitely put some kind of Loctite or something on this part right there, just so you don't have that happen. And the third and final kind of complaint that I had, so right here where your magnification dial is, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but from here to here, this actually tapers down. It's much thicker here than what it is out here. And I found myself having a really hard time. My fingers basically will not fit underneath here. And I had a really hard time getting to my charging handle. Now I do have larger hands, larger fingers, but I've not encountered it as much with any of the other scopes. I mean, my finger literally will not slide underneath there at all. Now I know that taller scope mounts would obviously fix that problem. But as it is, I did kind of have a problem. And I have to almost go to the side and pull it back like this. And I suppose I could get like an extended charging handle too, and that would also fix the problem. Oh, and it did not include a battery. So I'm going to put that in my cons. All right, let's talk about some of the pros. Overall, I think it's actually built really well. A nice construction, even comes with a nice box, has their name, their logo. I really do appreciate that when companies do that. The glass on this 1-6 is just insanely clear, almost like there's no glass there. I'm not exactly sure of all the engineering behind it, but this scope is called the ED-AR, and I really didn't know what the ED stood for. And DiscoveryOPT does something, it's called extra low dispersion, and you can go to Amazon stuff and read all about it, but basically it makes like everything look almost as if you're looking with your naked eye and not through multiple lenses. Overall, I had really good eye relief, and there was room for adjustment. I could move my cheek, a little bit either direction and still had a full field of view. Like the fact that the turrets are large, like really large, easy to adjust, no tools needed. They're very audible, very palpable. I like that it has that illuminated reticle, and I like how it goes like 1 off, 2 off, 3 off. So like if you tend to shoot more at 3, you can hit it, you can set it at 3 and then go either direction to turn it back off, and then you just have to move it 1 time to get back to your level that you normally use. And with those adjustments, like let's say it is a low light area, you might only need to be on level 1 or 2. But let's say you're outside, it's really sunny, you might need to be up on 6. So I like that it has those adjustments. The other thing that's nice is that even if that battery were to fail in there, you still always have that reticle to look through. So it's not dependent upon, a battery being in it. And here's one of the best things about this scope. I've had this for about 3 weeks or so, and I check pretty much daily on the pricing. It has never gotten above $159. And the entire time I've been watching it, there's always some type of discount going on. A few days ago, it was actually $159 with a $60 off coupon, bringing it to $99. Right now, it's a 30% off coupon, which I think is like $48 or close to it. So it brings it down to $111. So barely $100 for a pretty decent scope here. And it includes that sunshade and that reflector or lens shade. And yeah, these are available on Amazon, so I will leave a link for that down in the video description if you guys want to find out more information on it or pick one up or whatever. And if I'm being honest, like I think the scope is good enough that I would probably run it on a primary rifle. I would probably use a different mount, probably cantilever mount, but I actually really like this little scope. But all right, guys, if you found the video helpful or informative in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.